Hello everyone, I'm showing a video. It's going to take maybe 5 minutes on how I apply for my clients to get the GST HST, new residential rental property rebate. Now, I personally used to work at CRA in the GST HST department, so I'm very comfortable with these. I've done these for clients for many, many years. I'm going to be sharing my screen and walking you through step by step how I submit it directly with CRA. Now, if somebody doesn't have any experience with GST HST, this is a rebate where you can get anywhere, from $1,000 all the way up to 24,000 or even 30,000 in some situations. This is something to be done very carefully by a tax professional who has GST HST experience. It's not something to do if you have no idea what you're doing. That's a disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only. I'm a GST HST professional. I used to work at CRA. Just making sure that put out there for the record, this is for educational purposes only. If you're not sure what to do, consult a tax professional. That is my disclaimer. I'm going to file a GST HST rebate. Once I'm here, I'm going to read the disclaimers. It's going to let me know that they will give an instant confirmation number. It is dependent on CRA reviewing, and do not submit it twice. Okay. I'm going to click start. Then we're going to go through the criteria. So in this specific example, I am applying for a new residential rental property rebate. It's a GST 524 type 6. And they're letting us know that the form is very specific and that there are different types of HST, that not everything is the same depending on where the province is. This is the province of Ontario example, and I'm going to select it's a single unit. Is the fair market value of the residential complex at the time the tax became payable or the purchase for $50,000 or greater? In this example, it's no. Is the property located in Ontario? In this example, it's yes. Application type is type 6 because it's a lease of the building and land. So that's when you're renting it to a tenant, very traditional rental. And they're letting us know supporting documentation we need is a rental or a lease agreement, signed purchase and sale agreement, and a statement of adjustments. If you don't know what a statement of adjustments is, you need to talk to your lawyer or your accountant. These are things that we go through all the time. They are what's provided at the end of a purchase. Once all the property has been transferred and signed, the lawyer prepares a final package, which will include a statement of adjustments. I'm going to select next. Okay, so now we're at the upload support documentation stage. This is where you need to make sure your package is crystal clear, because if you submit the wrong information, you're going to get stuck in CRA limbo. Okay, so if you're a purchaser and a landlord, the following must be uploaded: signed purchase and sale agreement, excluding attachments, statement of adjustments. So go ahead, is what I'm seeing when I read this, upload my document. Just one thing to note for myself, I always upload or fax a paper filed copy of the rebate application start to finish, because when I first started these rebates, there was no possible way to submit it all online. It was all through the paper application, and the paper application has all the detailed calculations, all the steps, and it's what's tried and tested by CRA officers themselves. These applications get reviewed by everyone who gets a chance to look at it in the GST department, or should I say directorate of CRA, okay? So I always fill these out because it's what I know best, and that's what I attach. So we're going to go through the questionnaire that they're going to ask after we attach it. So they're going to ask, do you have a business number? In this example, it's no. Are the only owner of the property? In this example, there is a spouse. So in this example, it's a purchaser and landlord, like I said. Language preference is English. Contact person, full name and telephone number is my office. Mailing address is going to be my office again. Okay, in this example, I don't have time. I might record a video eventually showing how to enter all the property information in the rebate calculation, but this is where it gets very technical, and I wouldn't feel comfortable putting a YouTube video about this. But we're going to show what happens at the end of all this prior to reviewing and submitting if I have time. If not, I'm going to stop the video here, and it'll probably be posted by the time you hear this. So I will have time. I'm resuming the video recording. So just to recap, we're filing a GST HST rebate for a rental property for a landlord. And we've gone through disclaimer before you begin. We've gone through the rebate application selection. We've gone through the supporting documentation. While paused, I've entered my client's information. and now I'm entering my client's property information. This information needs to be exactly what it's supposed to be, because any mistakes can delay the rebate. And you need to make sure that, I always tell people the date of the construction, the date you took possession, these are all technical terms. You need to have an accountant or a lawyer to double check this with if you cannot find the answer yourself. If you can, then go for it. That's the whole point of me making this video. That's going to get entered, and I'll resume when I'm at the next step. Okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about. Type of construction. There's specific criteria. This is a new construction that you have to enter the purchase date and sale, the relevant date. Is it a mobile home, and are you claiming your new residential rental property rebate as an adjustment on line 111 of your GST HST return? If you don't know what this means and you're still watching the video, you need to hire a professional. This is not relevant for 90% of the people, but this really just means if you already have a GST HST registration number, then probably the odds are that you're filing your return already and this information has already been entered. So you can go ahead and skip this part of the video if it's not relevant. I want to show what's next to most complicated topics. There's this question mark. So relevant date is a key term. Relevant date means many different types of dates, but most often it's the date you get possession or finished signing all the deals with the lawyers and closed on the property. So if you click on the question mark, it gives you tons of examples. So anyone other than a co-op, okay? And if you're a purchaser, there's examples where possession of the condo unit, okay? And in any other case, so make sure you're reading these, right? It's the day that is the earlier of ownership of the unit is transferred to you, and the day possession of the property is transferred to you. So this could be relevant in a case where ownership and possession are transferred on different dates. Some people get ownership early, some people get ownership later. So it's the earlier of the 2 days. This is usually relevant to figure out if you're at the 2-year deadline, because you only get, at this point, I believe 2 years after the relevant date to apply. If you want to apply 10 years from now, you can't. And at this point in time, it's May 2026. There are going to be possibly from Doug Ford in the province of Ontario, something that's already passed but not official. They're going to be amending the rules for the rental rebates for landlords. So there could be more rebates available in the future. So that's why this is super relevant to know your dates specifically. It's going to come into play once they update the rebate, if they add more to the rebate or allow you to claim another top-up rebate once the new rules come out. I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to fill out the relevant information and resume at the next step. So I'm at the next step where we're calculating the rebate. Do you want to claim the provincial new residential rental property rebate for this property? We're going to select yes. Type of tax paid on the purchase, 13% HST, because it already knows this is Ontario. This is where the numbers need to be exact. You need to have verified everything and made sure that you're not missing any calculations. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out for my example. I'm not going to show live calculations because it's confidential information, and I'm going to skip to the next step prior to submitting. But in this example, we're going for part of the provincial rebate and part of the federal rebate because it's a purchase price under $450. As rare as those are these days, in this example, that's what I'm showing. So I'm going to resume when I'm at the next step. Okay, so I finalized the calculation here for the rebate application. I'm going to show the calculations. I can't explain how I got to them. I can only walk you through what I calculated because it's, for me, I know the calculations by heart. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. But the gist of it, that is, you need to know your purchase price of the complex without HST. You need to know the federal part of your HST. You need to multiply the federal part by 36%. The maximum is $6,300. And then you need to calculate the fair market value of your property. Most often it can be what you paid. If you overpaid or underpaid, you need to figure these things out. And then you're going to need to know the provincial portion of the rebate and the federal portion of the rebate that you're eligible for, because you need to double check the math of the system. You never know if there's any mistakes. I always triple check the math. I prepare it myself first in Excel, then I compare my Excel to what's going on the rebate application. Okay, so your total rebate amount needs to match what you calculated. And if you're not calculating it yourself, make sure you have a professional who is. In my case, it's a $27,000 rebate, and I've gone through the numbers, and this is just for an explanation example in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Once I click next, it's going to walk me through to verify every single step. I've verified all the information, and I always make sure that my clients are signing the disclaimer that anything given in these forms to the best of their knowledge is correct, because I'm relying on the information they're providing to me. We have to also sign off that we have not previously claimed any rebate amount, or if we have, this is key for the announcements that are coming out this summer. I have not previously claimed the total rebate or any part of the amount for land, any part of that amount for any units or land included in this claim. Okay, so what this means is that if you've claimed a rebate and then they announce that another rebate is available, you need to subtract what you've already claimed and only claim the top up. Okay, so the Ontario provincial government 99.99% going to come out with a further rebate even for people who are renting out the homes, not just first-time home buyers. And if that's the case, they need to apply again for whatever they're further eligible for, okay, whether it's federal or provincial. And that's called a top-up rebate. So you need to make sure that you're not double claiming, because that's going to get your file stuck in limbo, because CRA is smarter. They're not going to pay out double claims. And if you submit a double claim, you're going to get stuck in a review, and that's going to cost you more money or more time. So my clients always certify this. I make them sign it separately. They sign off on the paper version of the return, and then I'll go ahead and submit. That's going to conclude this video. If you need to reach out for helpful information, you can look me up on Google or through my YouTube channel. And that's the end of the video. It's May 2026. If you can't find me on Google, it's Lucas CPA. That's my name. And I used to work at CRA in the GST HST world. That's really my world. And I've been doing these rebates for almost 10 years now. And I'm going to stop the video here. That concludes the educational video on how to apply for a GST HST new residential rental property rebate application. NRRPR application for short, which nobody calls it that. Thank the CRA for making this quote unquote easy, and thank your accountant or lawyer for helping you through the process. If you've made it this far, you might be doing it on your own, so thank yourself. That's the end of this video. Signing off.